So what if I told you that one of the most powerful technologies for human connection isn't some new app? What if it's actually a style of music? We think of jazz as, well, just music. But what if we looked at it differently? As a kind of blueprint for how we can listen to each other, respond, and, create something totally new together. Today we're going to dive into how the language of jazz itself might just teach us how to be better at connecting with one another.
Just picture this for a second. You're in a smoky club, it's late, a saxophone player gets up and just plays this short, beautiful phrase. It just kind of hangs there in the air. It's a statement, maybe a question, it's an offering.
And then the piano answers. But here's where the magic happens. The piano player doesn't just copy the saxophone, no way. They take that little musical idea, they turn it around, maybe add a new harmony, and they push the whole conversation somewhere else entirely. See, this isn't about reading from a script. This is creating something together, right in the moment. And that, right there, is jazz. It's so much more than notes on a page. It's a living, breathing model of people working together. It's about making something beautiful and complex, on the spot, that no single person could ever create on their own.
Okay, so how does that kind of magic actually work? How do they do it? Well, it all comes down to a totally different kind of conversation. One that's built on a pretty radical idea: deep, active listening.
To really get it, though, we have to look at where this music came from. I mean, it didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was forged in the fire of the Black experience in America. A story of incredible pain, sure, but also unbelievable creativity and strength.
So the story really kicks off in the late 1800s in New Orleans, which was this amazing cultural melting pot. In places like Congo Square, African musical traditions met Caribbean rhythms and European harmonies. Out of that mix, this brand new improvised group sound started to bubble up. And from there, it just exploded. By the 1920s, it had spread like wildfire and become a global sensation.
But here's the thing. Jazz did way more than just travel around the world musically. In a deeply segregated America, it did something truly radical. It created these little pockets of space where, just for a few hours, that rigid color line could get, well, a little blurry. And this was a huge deal. It was a rare cultural reversal. It wasn't just about going out for some entertainment. It was this powerful, undeniable recognition of Black genius, and it drew people across racial lines to see a brand new art form being born. Now, this cultural power was so obvious that the U.S. government noticed. During the Cold War, the State Department actually started sending jazz greats like Louis Armstrong and Dizzy Gillespie on these international goodwill tours. The message was pretty clear. Hey world, look at this incredible art form. It's a product of American freedom. The only problem, that message ran smack into the brutal reality of what was happening back home. Then came 1957, and the crisis over school integration in Little Rock, Arkansas. Louis Armstrong was supposed to go on another one of these tours, and he just refused. He came out with this fiery statement, using his fame not to sell some sanitized version of America, but to speak truth to power. It showed the music had this core integrity that you just couldn't buy. And that integrity, it came from the music itself. Which brings us right back to the very structure of the music. And this gets us to the absolute core of jazz. And really, a fascinating paradox about what it even means to be free. So, here's the big idea. In jazz, freedom isn't just playing whatever you feel like. A musician who ignores everyone else on stage, they aren't free. They're just loud. They're isolated. Real creative freedom actually comes from the discipline of listening so intently to the others that what you play in response makes the entire group better. The great Wynton Marsalis put it perfectly. Jazz is a constant negotiation. It's about knowing the rules and the traditions so well that you know exactly how to break them creatively. It's about finding the space for your own voice while you're actively making space for everybody else's. And the most basic tool for this is something called call and response. It's a tradition with deep African roots, and it's basically the DNA of jazz. It's a simple 3-step recipe for dialogue. Step 1, I offer an idea. Step 2, you really listen and you respond to that idea. And step 3, from that back and forth, we build something completely new that didn't exist before. And this is maybe the most crucial part of the whole thing. A real response is never just an echo. It's an evolution. The goal isn't just to say, yep, I heard you. The goal is to develop that idea, to add to it, and to take the conversation to a place that neither one of you could have ever gotten to on your own. So what's the big takeaway here? I mean, why does a musical style that was born over a century ago matter so much right now in our world?
Well, because let's be honest, in an age where so much of our public conversation feels like people are just shouting past each other, jazz gives us this clear, powerful model for what it actually looks like to listen well enough to respond, instead of just, waiting for your turn to talk.
Of course, none of this is easy. The legendary Miles Davis once said, "It takes a long time to play like yourself." Finding your own unique voice, that thing that only you can contribute, that's a whole journey. But the key is, it's a journey you take as part of a community, not off by yourself.
So here it is. Here's the challenge that jazz offers every single one of us, whether we play an instrument or not. First, do the hard work to find your own voice. Second, commit to really, truly listening to the other voices around you. And third, have the courage to let what you hear genuinely change where you go next. That's the whole principle at the heart of jazz. It's about shifting our mindset away from winning an argument and toward creating something new through a real connection. So the question I'm going to leave you with is this. In your life, in your work, in your community, what new music could you make together?